The massive room fell into complete silence. Ambassador Victoria Stone stood near the front row, her hands gripping the railing as she watched the enormous black egg begin to crack. This was supposed to be one of the greatest moments in human history. Earth had fought for 20 years to get an invitation to this ceremony. Now humans would witness the birth of an emperor dragon for the first time. The egg sat on a raised platform in the center of the Galactic Council chamber. Thousands of aliens from hundreds of worlds watched from their seats. Some had traveled for months to be here. The last time an emperor dragon hatched in public was over 300 years ago. These creatures were rare, powerful, and deeply important to galactic politics. Victoria felt her heart racing as larger cracks appeared across the egg's surface. Pieces of shell began falling away. She could see movement inside now. The chamber's lights dimmed automatically and soft music started playing. This was all part of the traditional ceremony that had been planned for months. Then everything went wrong. The hatchling burst from the egg with a screech that shattered every viewing screen in the room. The sound was so loud and so high-pitched that several aliens collapsed, their hearing organs damaged. Victoria clapped her hands over her ears, but it was too late. Her ears were ringing badly. The baby dragon stood on the platform, and even newborn, it was the size of a hover car. Its scales were deep black with streaks of bright red running down its back. Its eyes opened and they glowed like small suns. When it looked around the room, Victoria felt a chill run down her spine. Those eyes held intelligence and rage. The hatchling opened its mouth and roared again. This time, flames shot out, white-hot and intense. The ceremonial curtains behind the platform caught fire instantly. Aliens in the front row scrambled backward, climbing over each other to get away. "This is not normal," said Commander Ryan Bell. He stood next to Victoria, his hand already on his weapon. Ryan had served in 3 wars and fought against pirates in the outer systems. Victoria had never heard fear in his voice before. She heard it now. The Dragon Keeper, an old alien named Thros, stepped forward. His people had been caring for dragons for thousands of years. He carried a bowl of specially prepared meat, the traditional first meal for a hatchling. Thros moved slowly, speaking in the ancient dragon language, his voice calm and soothing. The hatchling looked at him. For a moment, Victoria thought it might work. Then the baby dragon blasted the bowl with fire so hot that the metal melted instantly. Thros jumped back, his long robes smoking. 2 other keepers rushed to help him retreat to safety. "The hatchling has rejected the welcome," announced the Speaker of the Council. The Speaker was a being made of living crystal who had led the Council for over a century. "This has not happened in recorded history. A dragon who does not bond in the first hours will not bond at all. An unbonded emperor dragon is a threat to entire star systems." Victoria felt sick. She pulled out her communication device and spoke quickly. "Get me every expert on our ships. I need xenobiologists, animal behaviorists, anyone who knows anything about aggressive species. And find Director Blake, tell him we have a serious problem." Around her, the chaos grew worse. The hatchling had jumped down from the platform, its wings still wet and folded against its body. It could not fly yet, but it could run, and it could breathe fire. Aliens ran in every direction trying to escape. Some were not fast enough. The dragon snapped at anything that moved, its teeth already sharp enough to bite through metal. Security teams arrived with weapons, but Ryan held up his hand. "Do not fire unless I give the order. If we harm this hatchling, the dragon clans will consider it an act of war. Every dragon in the galaxy will become our enemy." "Then what do we do?" asked one of the security officers. "It is destroying everything." Ryan had no answer. None of them did. The hatchling climbed up to the upper level of the chamber, finding a corner where it could see the entire room. It coiled up there, smoke pouring from its nostrils. When anyone tried to get close, it roared and shot flames in their direction. 3 more attempts to offer it food failed. 2 attempts to sing the traditional calming songs only made it angrier. Victoria watched as a Korthan diplomat, a species famous for their mental powers, approached. The Korthan did not get within 20 feet before the dragon sensed the mental probe. It screamed with such fury that the Korthan's nose began bleeding. The diplomat ran from the room, his mental shield shattered. "Seal the chamber," Ryan ordered. Metal barriers slammed down over all the exits. "No one gets in or out until we figure this out. If that hatchling escapes into the station, it could kill thousands." Director Blake arrived, running through the last door before it closed. He was in charge of all Earth's diplomatic missions in this sector. He looked at the dragon, then at Victoria. "Tell me you have a plan." "Every traditional method has failed," Victoria said. The dragon keepers say the hatchling is terrified and angry. Everything we do makes it worse. It is growing more hostile by the minute, and according to the keepers, it is also growing physically. In a few hours, it will be twice the size. The council wants it destroyed, Blake said quietly. They are already voting. If we cannot calm this creature in the next 3 hours, they will send in military units to kill it. Victoria felt her stomach drop. That would end our relationship with the dragon clans forever. They would never forgive us. And we would be killing a baby, a sentient being who is just scared and confused. I know, Blake said. But what choice do we have? We cannot let it destroy the station or escape to hurt innocent people. For 2 more hours, they tried everything. Music, food, gentle words in every language, pheromone sprays, light therapy, temperature adjustments. Nothing worked. The hatchling only became more defensive and more dangerous. It had now burned 3 holes in the chamber walls. Engineers said the structural integrity was becoming compromised. Victoria stood in the observation room next door, watching through the thick protective glass. The dragon sat in its corner, looking at them with those burning eyes. She knew what the council would decide. In 1 more hour, soldiers would enter that chamber. They would use heavy weapons. The hatchling would die. There has to be another way, she whispered. Ryan stood beside her, his face grim. Sometimes there is no good choice. We can only make the choice that saves the most lives. Victoria knew he was right, but it still felt wrong. She looked at the baby dragon, at the way it curled in on itself when people got too close, at how its whole body shook with each breath. It was not evil. It was not trying to hurt anyone. It was just a newborn creature in a terrifying situation, surrounded by strangers, overwhelmed by noise and lights and demands. Everyone approaches it like a weapon to be controlled or a wild animal to be tamed, Victoria said. Has anyone tried just being kind? Just sitting with it and letting it calm down on its own? It would tear apart anyone who tried, Ryan said. You saw what it did to the keepers. These are experts with centuries of experience. If they cannot reach it, who can? A small voice spoke from behind them. Maybe someone who is not trying to boss it around. Victoria spun and saw a human child standing in the doorway. He was young, maybe 7 years old, with messy brown hair and bright green eyes. He wore a visitor badge that was too big for him. The badge said his name was Danny Wright. Victoria recognized the name. Danny was the son of Gregory Wright, one of the logistics coordinators. Gregory had brought his son to the station for a month-long visit. The boy was supposed to be in the residential section, nowhere near the council chamber. Danny, how did you get here? Victoria asked. Where is your father? Dad hurt his ankle when everyone was running, Danny said. He walked up to the window and pressed his small hands against the glass. He stared at the dragon with no fear in his eyes, only curiosity. Is that the dragon everyone is scared of? He does not look mean. He looks sad and lonely. Ryan knelt down to the boy's level. Danny, that dragon is very dangerous. It has hurt a lot of people. We are trying to help it, but nothing is working. That is because you are all doing it wrong, Danny said with the absolute confidence only a child could have. You are treating him like a monster. But he is just a baby. Babies get scared when too much is happening at once. They need someone to be gentle and patient. Victoria and Ryan looked at each other. The idea forming in Victoria's mind was completely insane. It went against every protocol and every common-sense rule, but they were out of time and out of options. Danny, Victoria said slowly, how are you with animals? Do they like you? I am really good with them, Danny said proudly. I have a dog named Biscuit and 3 cats, and I helped my teacher calm down the class rabbit when it got scared during a thunderstorm. Animals can tell when you are nice. That dragon is not a rabbit, Ryan said firmly. Absolutely not, Victoria. I know what you are thinking, and the answer is no. We cannot send a child in there. We are about to send soldiers with plasma weapons, Victoria shot back. At least give the gentle approach one chance. The dragon is empathic, right? That is what the keepers said. It mirrors emotions. Everyone who went in there was afraid or trying to dominate it. Danny is not afraid, because he is too young to understand the danger, Ryan argued. Or maybe because children see things more. The observation room filled with people. Scientists, diplomats, security officers, and dragon keepers all crowded around the windows. Medical teams set up equipment just outside the chamber doors. Ryan positioned his best soldiers at strategic points, ready to break through the barriers if needed. Everyone knew this was their last hope. Danny stood at the entrance looking much smaller than he had moments ago. The massive doors of the council chamber loomed above him. Victoria knelt beside him, her hand on his shoulder. "Danny, you can change your mind," she said gently. "No one will think less of you. This is a very scary thing we are asking you to do." Danny shook his head. His jaw was set in determination. "The dragon needs help. I can help him. But you have to promise me something." "What is it?" Victoria asked. "Promise that if I can make friends with him, you will not hurt him, even if he stays grumpy for a while. Promise you will give him more time." Victoria looked at Blake. The director nodded slowly. "If you can establish any kind of positive contact, the council will delay the termination order." "You have my word." "Okay then," Danny said. "I am ready." Ryan checked the chamber one final time through the camera feeds. The dragon was still coiled in the upper gallery, watching the doors with suspicious eyes. Smoke drifted from its nostrils. Its tail swished back and forth, scraping gouges in the metal floor. "Everyone in position," Ryan said into his communicator. "Opening the doors now. Remember, no one interferes unless the child is in immediate danger. Let him work." The doors opened with a loud hiss. Danny walked through and they sealed behind him with a boom that echoed through the huge space. The boy stood alone in the council chamber, a tiny figure in an enormous room built for giants. He did not look back at the adults watching. He did not hesitate or show fear. He simply started walking toward the upper gallery where the dragon waited. The hatchling saw him immediately. Its head rose, eyes fixed on this new intruder. A low growl rumbled from its throat, so deep it vibrated through the floor. Warning smoke curled up from its nostrils. Its muscles tensed, ready to attack or flee. Danny stopped about 30 meters away. He did not try to get closer. Instead, he sat down cross-legged on the floor, making himself small and non-threatening. "Hello?" Danny said. His voice was soft but clear in the silent chamber. "My name is Danny. I think you are very beautiful." The dragon's growl grew louder. Its tail lashed harder, creating sparks where it struck the metal. In the observation room, Thros gripped the railing. "The hatchling is displaying increased aggression. The child is too close. Wait," Victoria said, though her own heart was pounding. "Just wait." Danny did not move from his spot. He just sat there, looking up at the dragon with open curiosity. His expression held no fear, no demand, no hidden agenda, just interest and friendliness. "I bet you are really confused right now," Danny continued in that same gentle voice. "You just came out of your egg and there were all these strangers yelling and running around. That must have been really scary." "I would be scared too." The dragon's growl continued, but something in its posture shifted slightly. Its spines, which had been fully raised in threat display, lowered just a fraction. "And everyone kept trying to make you do things," Danny went on. "They wanted you to eat special food and listen to songs and follow all these rules. But you did not ask for any of that. You did not even ask to be born in front of all those people watching you." The hatchling tilted its head. The movement was small, almost uncertain. It was still growling, but the sound had changed. It was less aggressive now, more confused. "I know how that feels," Danny said. "When I started at my new school last year, everything was too loud and too much. Everyone expected me to know where to go and what to do, but nobody explained anything. I felt lost and scared. I hid in the bathroom during lunch for a whole week." The dragon's eyes narrowed as it studied the small human. Its tail had stopped lashing quite so violently. "Were you scared when you hatched?" Danny asked. "It must be weird, going from inside that dark egg to suddenly being in a huge bright room with all these different smells and sounds. And everyone was so big and loud. I would want to hide too." In the observation room, the scientists were frantically taking notes. One of the xenobiologists whispered to Victoria, "The child is using a mirroring technique, probably without even knowing it. He is validating the dragon's emotional state instead of trying to change it. Brilliant." Danny reached into his pocket and pulled out something wrapped in paper. "I have a sandwich," he said to the dragon. "It is peanut butter and jelly. I know it is not dragon food, but it is what I brought for lunch. You can have it if you want. I am not very hungry anyway." He carefully unwrapped the sandwich and placed it on the floor in front of him. Then he scooted backward several feet, putting distance between himself and the food. "No pressure," Danny said. "You do not have to eat it. But it is there if you want it. I am not going to force you to do anything." The dragon stared at the sandwich. Its nostrils flared, analyzing the unfamiliar scent. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, moving with cautious, jerky steps, The hatchling began to descend from the upper gallery. Every person in the observation room held their breath. The dragon was moving toward Danny. This could go very wrong very quickly. The hatchling reached the floor and approached the sandwich. It moved in fits and starts, ready to bolt at any sign of threat. When it got close enough, it sniffed the sandwich thoroughly. Its tongue, forked and smoking, flicked out to taste the air around the food. Then it looked at Danny. Really looked at him, as if trying to understand what this strange small creature wanted. "It is okay," Danny said softly. "I promise I will not hurt you, and I will not let anyone else hurt you either. You are safe with me." The dragon looked back at the sandwich. It sniffed it again. Then in one quick motion it snatched up the sandwich and swallowed it whole. Paper wrapping and all. The hatchling sat back on its haunches, still watching Danny. But now its tail had stopped lashing entirely. The smoke from its nostrils was less aggressive. Its eyes, while still wary, no longer burned with rage. "Did you like it?" Danny asked with a small smile. "I bet it was kind of weird tasting. Dragon food is probably very different from human food. Sorry about that." The dragon made a sound, a sort of questioning rumble. It was not a growl or a roar. It was something else, something almost conversational. "You are probably really tired," Danny said. "Hatching looks like hard work. All that breaking out of the shell, and then you had to deal with everyone being loud and scary. You did not even get time to rest or figure out where you are." The hatchling's eyes began to close halfway. It swayed slightly as if Danny's words about tiredness had reminded it how exhausted it actually was. Danny yawned, big and exaggerated. When he finished, the dragon yawned too, showing all those sharp crystalline teeth. Danny laughed, the sound bright and genuine in the tense silence. "See?" Danny said. "Yawns are catching. That means we are starting to match up. My dad says when people yawn together, it means they are becoming friends." "This is remarkable," Thros whispered in the observation room. His old eyes were wide with wonder. The child has no training, no knowledge of dragon lore, yet he instinctively understands what the hatchling needs. Not dominance, not ritual, but simple acceptance and companionship. Victoria watched as Danny began talking again, this time about his life. He told the dragon about his dog Biscuit, who was afraid of thunderstorms and liked to sleep under the bed. He talked about his 3 cats and how they all had different personalities. He mentioned his father's job, which he described as super boring but important because it helps get food to planets that need it. The dragon listened to every word. Its massive head gradually lowered until it was resting on its front legs. Its eyes never left Danny, but they were no longer filled with suspicion. Now they held something different. Interest, curiosity, perhaps even the beginnings of trust. "Can I come a little closer?" Danny asked after several minutes. "You can say no." "Well, you cannot actually say it with words, but you can growl or move away. I will understand if you want me to stay here." The hatchling did not move. It just kept watching Danny with those intense, intelligent eyes. Danny took that as permission. He scooted forward a few feet, moving slowly and carefully. Then he waited, giving the dragon time to react. When nothing bad happened, he moved forward a bit more. Then a bit more after that. The distance between them shrank. 30 meters became 20. 20 became 10, then 5, then 3. Ryan's hand was on his weapon, ready to act if needed. Medical teams were poised by their equipment. Every eye in the observation room was locked on the scene unfolding before them. "Your scales are really pretty," Danny said when he was close enough to see the details. "They look like my dad's motorcycle. He has this old bike that is black with red flames painted on it. You would like it, I think. Maybe when you get bigger you could meet my dad and see the bike." Danny slowly extended his hand, palm up. He did not reach toward the dragon. He just held his hand out in offering, an invitation, a gesture that said clearly, "I am here. I am friendly. The choice is yours." The Emperor Dragon hatchling stared at that small human hand. Calculations ran behind those glowing eyes, weighing threat. 20 minutes had passed since the golden light appeared. Danny sat on the floor of the council chamber with the dragon's head still resting in his lap. The boy was talking about everything and nothing, his voice soft and steady. The hatchling listened to every word, occasionally making small rumbling sounds of contentment. Victoria stood in the observation room, reading the flood of messages coming through her communication device. Every major government in the galaxy had seen the broadcast of the bonding. The responses ranged from shock to awe to barely concealed envy. 3 ambassadors had already requested immediate meetings with Earth's representatives. The dragon clans are sending a delegation. Blake said, reading his own messages. They will arrive within the hour. And the Empress of the Dragon Territories herself has sent a personal message. She wants to meet Danny. The Empress never leaves her homeworld, Thros said, his voice filled with wonder. She has not attended council meetings in person for 200 years. If she is coming here, this is more significant than I thought. Ryan was coordinating security arrangements, speaking rapidly into his communicator. We need to prepare for royal-level protocols. Full honor guard, ceremonial arrangements, the works. And someone needs to brief the kid on what is about to happen. I will go, Victoria said. Danny should hear this from someone he knows. She made her way to the chamber entrance. The doors opened just enough to let her through, then sealed again immediately. Danny looked up when he heard her footsteps, his hand still resting on the dragon's head. Hi, Victoria, Danny said with a bright smile. Did you see? We are friends now. His name is going to be Sir Blaze, I just decided. The dragon's eyes opened at the sound of the name. It lifted its head slightly and made a pleased sound, smoke rings forming above its nostrils. I think he likes it, Victoria said, carefully approaching. The dragon watched her but did not seem hostile. It had apparently decided that anyone who was kind to Danny was acceptable. Danny, we need to talk about what just happened. Do you understand what the golden light meant? Was that special? Danny asked. It felt warm and nice, like when you hug someone you really care about. Victoria sat down a respectful distance away, not wanting to intrude on the space Danny and the dragon had created. It was very special. That light means you and Sir Blaze have formed something called the Imperial Bond. It is the deepest connection a dragon can make with another being. You are bonded for life now, like best friends forever, Danny asked. More than that, Victoria explained carefully. You will always know where he is, even if he is far away. You will feel his strong emotions, and he will feel yours. As he grows bigger and stronger, his power will protect you wherever you go in the galaxy. And you will be responsible for him, for teaching him and helping him understand the world. Danny looked at Sir Blaze, his expression serious. That is a big responsibility. But I think I can do it. I am good at taking care of things. My mom says so. The dragon nuzzled Danny's shoulder as if agreeing with him. There is more, Victoria said. Very important people want to meet you now. The dragon clans are sending representatives. These are ancient, powerful beings who have been alive for thousands of years. They will want to see you and Sir Blaze to verify the bond and welcome you both. Will they be nice? Danny asked. Because if they try to boss Sir Blaze around or be mean, I will not let them. He has had enough of people being mean today. Victoria could not help but smile. This 7-year-old was preparing to stand up to some of the most powerful entities in the galaxy. I think they will be very nice. They will be honored to meet you both. But Danny, you need to understand how important this is. Humans have never had this kind of relationship with dragons before. This changes everything for Earth. I just wanted to help a scared baby, Danny said quietly. I did not know it would be this big of a deal. The best things often happen when we are just trying to be kind, Victoria said. She stood up, brushing off her formal clothes. Your father is waiting outside. He is very worried about you, but also very proud. Do you want to see him? Yes, please, Danny said. And can Sir Blaze come? I do not want to leave him alone. He might get scared again. Victoria looked at the dragon, who was now watching her with intelligent, measuring eyes. I think Sir Blaze can make that decision. Will you come with us, or do you need to stay here? The hatchling stood up, shaking out its wings. They were still crumpled from being inside the egg, but they were starting to unfold properly. The dragon was already noticeably larger than when it first hatched. It looked at Danny, then at the doors, then back at Danny. The message was clear. Where Danny went, the dragon would follow. I think that is a yes, Danny said, standing up and brushing off his clothes. He looked very small standing next to the dragon, even though Sir Blaze was still just a baby. Let us go see Dad, you will like him. He tells really bad jokes, but he is nice. The doors opened and Danny walked out with Sir Blaze right behind him. The dragon's claws clicked on the metal floor and its tail swished back and forth, but it showed no aggression. It was focused entirely on staying close to Danny. The observation room had cleared out, but Gregory Wright was waiting just outside, leaning on a makeshift crutch. His ankle was wrapped in medical bandaging. When he saw Danny, his face flooded with relief. Danny, he said, his voice tight with emotion. You scared me half to death. Sorry, Dad, Danny said, running over to hug his father. But it worked. Sir Blaze is my friend now. Can we keep him? Gregory looked at the massive dragon standing behind his son, then at Victoria, then back at Danny. I do not think we have a choice, son. I think he has decided to keep you. Sir Blaze rumbled in agreement, moving protectively closer to Danny. Over the next hour, the situation transformed from crisis to celebration. The council members who had called for the dragon's termination now competed to offer congratulations. The medical teams checked both Danny and Sir Blaze, confirming that both were healthy despite the stress of the day. Thross spent time with Danny, explaining the basics of dragon care and what the bond would mean as Sir Blaze grew. He will be the size of a transport ship within a year, Thross said. And by the time you are an adult, he will be large enough to carry cities on his back. Emperor dragons are the largest and most powerful of all dragon species. That is really big, Danny said, looking at Sir Blaze with wide eyes. Will you still want to cuddle when you are that big? Sir Blaze nuzzled Danny again, and everyone took that as a yes. The Dragon Clan delegation arrived ahead of schedule, their ships appearing in space near the station with impressive speed. 6 elder dragons came aboard, each taking humanoid form to move through the station corridors. They were tall, regal beings with scales visible at their temples and along their arms. Their eyes held the wisdom of ages. The lead elder was named Kethros. He had dark green scales and a presence that commanded respect. When he entered the room where Danny waited with Sir Blaze, both dragons and boy studied each other carefully. So you are the human child who achieved what none have managed in 3 centuries, Kethros said. His voice was deep and resonant. I confess I did not believe the reports until I saw the recording myself. How did you know what to do? I did not really know, Danny admitted. I just did what felt right. Sir Blaze was scared and angry, and everyone was treating him like a thing instead of a person, so I treated him like I would want to be treated if I was scared. Kethros knelt down to Danny's level, his ancient eyes studying the boy's face. You have the heart of a true dragon friend. This bond you have formed is sacred and unbreakable. You will face many challenges because of it, young Danny. There will be those who try to use you or your dragon for their own purposes. There will be danger and responsibility beyond what any child should carry. I know, Danny said. Victoria already told me. But I am not going to abandon Sir Blaze just because things might be hard. He is my friend. Friends stick together. Something in Kethros's expression softened. He reached out and placed a hand on Danny's head, a gesture of blessing among his people. The dragon clans recognize and honor your bond. We name you Dragon Friend, a title that has not been bestowed in 500 years. You and your companion will have the protection of all dragonkind, for as long as you both shall live. Sir Blaze stepped forward and bowed his head to Kethros, a gesture of respect. The elder dragon returned the bow, acknowledging the young hatchling as an equal despite his age. The other elders came forward one by one to offer their own blessings and recognition. The Empress will arrive tomorrow, Kethros said. She wishes to meet you personally and to welcome the hatchling into the greater dragon family. This is a great honor, young one. Few beings ever see the Empress in person. Should I dress fancy? Danny asked seriously. I only brought normal clothes for the trip. I do not have anything really nice. Several of the elder dragons made sounds that might have been laughter. The Empress will care little for your clothing, Kethros said with what might have been a smile. She will care about your character, and I think she will be pleased with what she finds. As the delegation departed, Blake pulled Victoria aside. The council has called an emergency session. They want to vote on Earth's full membership status immediately. The chair of... Danny woke up in a guest quarters bed that was far too big for him. Sir Blaze had curled up on the floor beside the bed, one wing stretched out protectively over Danny's sleeping area. During the night, the dragon had grown again. He was now the size of a small transport vehicle, his scales gleaming even in the dim light of early morning. Good morning, Danny whispered, reaching down to pat Sir Blaze's head. The dragon opened one eye, rumbled softly, and closed it again. He was clearly not ready to wake up yet. Gregory was already awake, sitting at the small table with a cup of coffee. He smiled when he saw Danny. Big day today, son. The Empress arrives in about 3 hours. Are you nervous? A little, Danny admitted, climbing out of bed. Kethros made her sound really important. What if I say something wrong? Just be yourself, Gregory said. That is what got you this far. The Empress is coming to meet you, not some version of you trying to be perfect. Victoria arrived an hour later with formal clothes for Danny. Nothing too fancy, but nicer than his everyday outfits. She also brought information about the Empress and proper etiquette for meeting dragon royalty. The most important rule is simple, Victoria explained while Danny got dressed. Be honest. Dragons' consent lies in deception. The Empress especially has lived for over 3,000 years. She has seen every kind of trick and manipulation. Honesty and sincerity are what she values most. I can do that, Danny said. I am not very good at lying anyway. My mom always knows when I try. Sir Blaise watched the preparations with interest, occasionally sniffing at the formal clothes with suspicion. When Victoria produced a small ceremonial sash for Danny to wear, the dragon sneezed sparks and looked offended. I think he does not like it, Danny said, looking at the sash. Can I skip it? Sir Blaise's opinion matters too. Victoria hesitated, then nodded. If the bond between you is strong enough that you are considering his preferences, then yes. Skip the sash. The Empress will understand. The docking bay where the Empress's ship would arrive had been transformed overnight. Banners from every council species hung from the walls. Honor guards from a dozen worlds stood at attention. The council members themselves had assembled in full ceremonial dress. This was not just a meeting. It was a historic event. Danny walked into the bay with Sir Blaise beside him, Victoria and Gregory flanking them. The crowd fell silent as they entered. All eyes turned to the small boy and his dragon companion. Danny felt his stomach flutter with nerves, but he kept walking. Sir Blaise pressed close against his side, offering silent support. Remember, Victoria whispered, bow when she enters. Not too deep, just a respectful nod. Then wait for her to speak first. The bay doors opened with a blast of light and sound. The Empress's ship glided in, massive and elegant. It was shaped like a dragon in flight, made of some material that shimmered between solid metal and liquid light. The ship settled onto the landing pad with barely a whisper of sound. The boarding ramp extended and figures began to emerge. First came more Dragon Clan elders, then royal guards in ceremonial armor. Then finally the Empress herself. She was breathtaking. In her humanoid form, she stood over 7 feet tall with scales of pure silver and gold covering her skin in intricate patterns. Her eyes were like molten amber, glowing with inner fire. She wore robes that seemed to be made of captured starlight, flowing around her as she moved. An aura of power surrounded her, so intense that several of the watching diplomats took involuntary steps backward. Danny felt Sir Blaise tense beside him. The young dragon had never seen another of his kind in person before. The Empress's presence triggered something deep in his instincts, a recognition of hierarchy and ancient bloodlines. The Empress walked forward, her gaze sweeping across the assembled crowd before settling on Danny and Sir Blaise. For a long moment, she simply looked at them. Danny bowed as Victoria had taught him, and Sir Blaise lowered his head in respect. Then they both looked up, meeting the Empress's eyes without fear. The Empress smiled. It transformed her entire face, making her look less like an untouchable monarch and more like someone genuinely pleased by what she saw. So, the Empress said, her voice carrying easily across the silent bay, you are the human child who taught my people a lesson in humility. Come closer, young one. Let me look at you properly. Danny walked forward, Sir Blaise matching his steps. When they stood before the Empress, Danny could feel the heat radiating from her, the barely contained power of a being who had lived longer than some civilizations. Your Majesty, Danny said, remembering the proper form of address Victoria had taught him. Thank you for coming. It is an honor to meet you. The honor may be mine, the Empress said. She knelt down, bringing herself closer to Danny's level. I have heard the story of your bonding. I have watched the recordings, but I wish to hear it from you. Tell me, child, why did you approach the hatchling when all others had failed? Danny thought about how to answer. He could feel everyone watching, waiting to hear what he would say. He looked lonely and scared, Danny said finally. Everyone was trying to make him do what they wanted, but nobody was asking what he needed. It did not seem fair. And what did you think he needed? The Empress asked. A friend, Danny said simply. Someone to just sit with him and let him know it was okay to be scared. Someone who would not hurt him or force him to be something he was not ready to be yet. The Empress reached out and placed her hand on Danny's head, much as Kethros had done. But when she did it, Danny felt a warmth spread through him, like being wrapped in the safest, most comfortable blanket imaginable. You have wisdom beyond your years, the Empress said. and a heart that understands what many forget, that power is nothing without compassion, and strength means little if it is not tempered with kindness. She turned her attention to Sir Blaise. And you, young hatchling, do you accept this bond freely? Do you choose this human as your companion? Sir Blaise stepped forward and bowed his head to the Empress, then turned and pressed his nose to Danny's hand. The golden light appeared again, pulsing between them. The message was clear. Yes, absolutely, without question. The Empress stood, addressing the entire assembly now. I, Sarathiel, Empress of the Dragon Territories and Speaker for the Eternal Clans, recognize and bless this bond. The human child Danny Wright is hereby named Dragon Friend and Brother to our kind. Any who harm him harm all dragons. Any who aid him earn our gratitude. Let this be known across all worlds and all systems. A deep thrumming sound filled the bay as every dragon present, in humanoid form or not, voiced their agreement. The sound was beautiful and terrifying, a harmony that spoke of ancient power and unbreakable oaths. Blake stepped forward, bowing to the Empress. Your Majesty, on behalf of humanity and the Earth Alliance, we are honored by your blessing and protection. We pledge to be worthy of the trust you have placed in us. See that you are, the Empress said, though her tone was not unkind. The boy has set a high standard for your species. I suggest you follow his example. She looked back at Danny. Walk with me, child. I wish to speak with you privately. Your dragon may come as well. Danny glanced at Victoria, who nodded encouragingly. He walked beside the Empress as she led him out of the bay and into a private garden area that had been prepared for her visit. Sir Blaise followed close behind, his eyes never leaving Danny. Once they were alone, the Empress's formal demeanor softened. She sat on a bench clearly not designed for someone her size and patted the space beside her. Sit, young Danny. Let us talk without all the ceremony and watching eyes. Danny climbed up onto the bench, his legs dangling above the ground. Sir Blaise settled at his feet, watchful but calm. Do you understand what the bond means? The Empress asked. Truly understand beyond what the adults have told you? I think so, Danny said. Sir Blaise and I are connected now for life. We will grow up together and take care of each other. That is part of it, the Empress agreed. But there is more. Emperor dragons live for thousands of years, Danny. Long after everyone you know now has passed away, Sir Blaise will still be here. He will watch civilizations rise and fall. He will outlive your children and your children's children. Have you thought about that? Danny looked down at Sir Blaise, who was watching him with those intense, intelligent eyes. I have thought about it a little. It makes me sad that I will not be with him forever. But just because something ends does not mean it was not worth doing. My mom says that about everything. We do good things and love people even though nothing lasts forever. The Empress was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was gentle. Your mother is wise, and so are you. Many beings form bonds with dragons thinking only of the power it brings, of the prestige and protection. They forget that love, true love, means accepting that you will hurt when it ends. You understand this already, and you choose the bond anyway. Sir Blaise needs me right now, Danny said, and I need him too. Maybe someday I will not be here anymore, but he will remember me, and that matters. I want him to have good memories. The Empress smiled again, and this time her eyes shimmered as if with tears she was too proud to shed. The dragon clans have been isolating themselves for too long. We have forgotten why we first formed bonds with other species. You have reminded us, young Danny. 3 months had passed since the bonding ceremony. Danny sat in his backyard on Earth doing homework while Sir Blaise lounged nearby. The dragon was now the size of a house, his scales gleaming in the afternoon sun. He had learned to be careful around the smaller creatures and structures of Earth, moving with surprising delicacy for something so massive. Biscuit, Danny's dog, had gotten over his initial terror, and now treated Sir Blaise like a very large, very warm piece of furniture. The dog was currently napping against the dragon's side, perfectly content. The 3 cats had been more cautious, but even they had accepted the dragon as part of the family. Danny, his mother called from the house. You have visitors. Danny looked up to see Victoria and 2 other people approaching across the yard. Sir Blaise raised his head, alert but not threatening. He recognized Victoria as a friend. Hi, Victoria, Danny said, setting down his pencil. I am almost done with my math homework. It is really hard today. I can come back if this is a bad time, Victoria said with a smile. But I wanted to introduce you to some people. This is Commander Lisa Park and Dr. Henry Simmons. They work for Earth's new Dragon Relations Department. We created an entire government department? Danny asked, his eyes wide. We did, Lisa said, kneeling down to Danny's level. She had kind eyes and an easy smile. Because of you and Sir Blaze, Earth needs people who understand dragon culture and can help facilitate relationships between our species. We were hoping you might help us learn. Me? Danny said. But I am just a kid. I do not know that much about dragons. You know more than you think, Henry said. He was an older man with gray hair and a gentle manner. You understand the most important thing, how to connect with them on an emotional level. We have read all the books and studied all the data, but that is not the same as truly understanding. You have that understanding naturally. Sir Blaze rumbled in agreement. Smoke curling from his nostrils in a pleased pattern Danny had learned meant approval. The Empress has been teaching Danny every week, Danny's mother said, bringing out a tray of drinks. She visits regularly through video calls. Sometimes she sends elder dragons in person to work with Sir Blaze. Which brings us to another reason for our visit, Victoria said. The Council has approved the construction of a dragon sanctuary on Earth. It will be a place where dragons can visit, where bonded pairs can train together, and where humans can learn about dragon culture. We would like it to be near here, near your home, if you and your family agree. Danny looked at his parents. His father nodded encouragingly. It is your decision, son. This is your bond, your relationship with the dragon clans. Would other dragons come? Danny asked. To visit Sir Blaze? Eventually, yes, Lisa said. As word spreads about the sanctuary, we expect young dragons and their companions to come for education and training. It would become a center for dragon-human relations. Danny thought about it carefully, absently petting Biscuit, who had woken up and wandered over. Will there be rules to protect the dragons? To make sure people treat them with respect and do not just try to use them? Absolutely, Henry said. The Empress herself will help write the guidelines. No one will be allowed to interact with dragons without proper education and approval. The sanctuary will be a place of mutual respect and learning, not exploitation. Then yes, Danny said. I think it is a good idea. Sir Blaze gets lonely sometimes, even with me and the pets. He would probably like having other dragons to talk to. Sir Blaze lifted his head and made a sound that was clearly enthusiastic agreement. The dragon had been learning to communicate more precisely, using different tones and patterns of smoke to express his thoughts. Danny had gotten very good at understanding him. Over the following weeks, construction began on the sanctuary. It was built on land adjacent to Danny's neighborhood, with careful attention to environmental protection and dragon needs. Large open spaces for flying, deep pools for swimming, caves for those who preferred darkness, and platforms for socializing. The Empress approved every detail personally. The first visiting dragon arrived 2 months later. She was a young bronze dragon named Tessara, bonded to a teenage girl from the Alderaan system. Tessara was nervous about meeting Sir Blaze, and her companion, a girl named Kate, was equally worried about meeting Danny. What if they do not like us? Kate asked as they approached the sanctuary. She was 15, tall and thin, with worry written across her face. Sir Blaze is nice, Danny assured her. A little protective sometimes, but nice. How did you and Tessara bond? She was injured, Kate said quietly. Her wing was caught in machinery at a construction site. Everyone said she would die, but I stayed with her. I talked to her and brought her food and water. It took 3 months for her wing to heal, and by then we were bonded. Not the imperial bond like yours, but still real. Any bond formed through kindness is real, came a voice behind them. The Empress had arrived to observe the meeting. She had taken to visiting the sanctuary regularly, clearly pleased with what humanity was building. Young Kate showed great patience and compassion. Young Danny, will you introduce our guests to Sir Blaze? Danny led them to the main platform where Sir Blaze was sunning himself. The massive dragon raised his head as they approached. Tessara hung back uncertain. She was larger than Sir Blaze in wingspan but smaller in body mass. Her bronze scales glinted nervously. Sir Blaze, this is Tessara and Kate, Danny said formally. They have come to visit and maybe be friends. Sir Blaze stood and approached Tessara carefully. The two dragons studied each other for a long moment. Then Sir Blaze bowed his head in greeting and Tessara returned the gesture. They began making sounds to each other, dragon communication that the humans could not fully understand but could feel the meaning of. It was cautious, curious, friendly. They are going to get along, the Empress said with satisfaction. Good. Tessera has been lonely with no other bonded dragons in her home system. Having a community here will help them both. Kate looked at Danny with gratitude. Thank you for agreeing to this sanctuary. Tessera has been sad lately. I could feel it through the bond, but I did not know how to help. Now you know, Danny said. She needed other dragons. Maybe you need other bonded humans too? We can be friends if you want. Kate smiled, the worry finally leaving her face. I would like that. As the months continued, more bonded pairs arrived. Each had their own story, their own journey to the bond. There was Marcus, a soldier who had saved a dragon egg from smugglers and raised the hatchling himself. There was little Lily, only 6 years old, who had found a dying dragon in the forest near her home and sung to it until help arrived, forming a bond in those final moments before the dragon was healed. There was old Jack, a retired pilot whose dragon had chosen him in the twilight years of both their lives, seeking companionship for the road ahead. The sanctuary became a place of healing and growth. Danny found himself at the center of a growing community, no longer just the boy who bonded with an emperor dragon, but a friend and guide to others walking a similar path. He learned from them as much as they learned from him. One evening, 6 months after the sanctuary opened, Danny sat with Sir Blaise watching the sunset. The dragon was even larger now, his wings spanning nearly 100 feet when fully extended. He had learned to fly, though he stayed close to the sanctuary most of the time, not wanting to be far from Danny. Do you ever regret it? Danny asked quietly. Bonding with me instead of someone older or more important? Sir Blaise lowered his head and looked directly into Danny's eyes. The bond between them pulsed with feeling, wordless but perfectly clear. There was no regret, only love, loyalty, and contentment. Danny was exactly who Sir Blaise had needed, and Sir Blaise was exactly who Danny had needed. I am glad, Danny said, leaning against his dragon's warm scales. You are my best friend, you know that. Even when I am old and you are still young, you will always be my best friend. Sir Blaise wrapped his wing around Danny, a gesture of protection and affection he had perfected over the months. They sat like that as the stars came out, human and dragon bonded for life. Victoria visited the next morning with news. The council has made a decision. They want to establish sanctuaries like this on other worlds, places where bonds can form naturally without ritual or political pressure. They are calling it the Right Initiative, named after you. They should call it the Friendship Initiative instead, Danny said. This is not about me. It is about helping people and dragons find each other. I will suggest that, Victoria said, though I think they will still credit you with starting it all. You changed the galaxy, Danny. You showed everyone that the old ways were not the only ways, that sometimes the best solution is the simplest one. Just be kind. As Victoria left, Danny's teacher arrived for his daily lessons. Despite everything that had happened, his parents insisted he keep up with his schoolwork. The Empress had agreed, saying that wisdom came from many sources, and human education was valuable in its own way. During his history lesson, Danny learned about other moments in time when single acts of kindness had changed the course of events. A soldier who refused to shoot, starting a peace process. A doctor who treated an enemy, beginning reconciliation between nations.